morning. This is the People Matter Show. This is your host, Miguel, and we have a special guest, an expert on AI, and he is the CEO for AI Privacy Platform. And I was reading about him, and his experience is so vast. It's just so huge on the technology side that I want him to talk about all of the experience in the last few years because I don't know which one is more important, Albert, but Albert Thompson, CEO of AI Privacy Platform. Can you tell us more about your experience and how did you get into AI? I know that you have a lot of startups as well, a lot of companies that you started as well. Can you tell us about your experience and your resume?
Yeah, absolutely. Super glad to be here. Thank you so much again, Miguel. Yeah, really excited and lucky to be here. So my background has been 25 years, and a lot of it's been in marketing and ad tech. And in the last 5 years, to your point, I had a company that I started from bootstrap, took it to about a little over 50 million. It was called Driven IQ, and took that specifically around data, right? Helping businesses understand first party data. And I want to say about 3 or 4 years ago, you started to see the early emergence, if you will. I mean, AI and machine learning have been around for a very long time. This is not a new thing in terms of maturity and basic AI adoption. But at that time, right, there was this really interesting interconnection between data and how data is intertwined with how to make AI models work. And for us, it was just the natural evolution of seeing how businesses will move from that data landscape of being able to understand who their customers are, being able to understand what that first party data looks like, to be able to then bring that into AI as a core business strategy. So here we are.
That's great. Well, today we're going to be talking about AI and the world of technology, and who else better than Albert that has started multiple companies. And I was also told that you are currently involved in different boards as well. That's right?
Yeah, I've been involved with many different boards of different companies. Actually, been a part of one of the groups that I've been working a lot with is the IAB, the Interactive Advertising Bureau, and specifically working with very large Fortune 500 companies in those groups to really set the framework, set the landscape of how the world is going to ultimately adopt this technology. Whether that's from first party data, but also really looking at how we're going to adopt AI in the future. At this point in time, we're actually trying to even go one step further and reaching out with the government, specific departments of the government to set the ethical AI framework, looking at policies and really trying to help adopt responsible AI. Because I think, we'll talk about it, I'm sure, throughout the podcast, but, there's a lot of fear factor around AI and what is it and how does it impact businesses. So, it's very exciting to be a part of these boards and help really set the policies for how they're going to live in the world in the future.
So let's jump into AI. And I was reading on your website, and I have heard the word AI agent is becoming very popular among businesses. Can you describe more about what exactly is an AI agent and how is it helping companies of different industries?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you went right to the exciting stuff that's happening in AI today. Yeah, so the world of AI agents, if you really think about it, the future's going to look very different, Miguel. It's going to be something that we're probably not used to seeing, right? There's going to be virtual AI assistants for doing real estate deals. You're gonna have virtual AI assistants that are gonna help you do your divorces or your legal matters. When you think about an agent in particular, think about a virtual AI assistant that could literally be plugged and played into your life, that is autonomous, that could potentially, from a business standpoint, handle your calls, handle your emails, handle your texts. It could potentially, you and I could say, hey, Albert, have your agent meet my agent. This is the future, of course. Have your agent meet my agent. Let's have them navigate the contract for the real estate agreement. And 24 hours from now, let's connect and let's see what the agents come up with and see what better deal they can work out on our behalf. So AI agents, if you think about it this way, virtual AI assistants, but most importantly, when you think about agentic AI, there's two sides of it. One is AI automation, and one is truly an agent. An agent thinks, acts, and reasons on its own autonomously.
Nice. Now, a lot of times when they talk about AI, they talk about AI native. And if we're talking about AI agents, can you explain a little bit about when a lot of people say, oh, yeah, but that's not AI native. What exactly that means, and how does it correlate with the AI agent as well?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So when you think about native AI, it's actually a very early concept, right? So I want to make sure I say this correctly, but there's companies that have really launched their businesses, and what they've done, Miguel, is they've been able to say, hey, we're an AI enabled company, or we're an AI driven company. And what that means is, let's say, for example, you hire some developers, you get an investment, or maybe you have some money, and you pull on a connection with, say, ChatGPT or one of these public large language models. Then you could build a nice front end to it, a nice website, and there you have it. You have a business. And in the market, a lot of companies like that are called GPT wrappers. They kind of wrap a large language model with their business and then go to market. Native AI first company is fundamentally different, right? It's a business that places artificial intelligence at the center of everything it does, right from the start. So unlike traditional companies that might AI, might add AI later to their existing operations as a bolt-on, a native AI first company builds its products, builds its services, and all their strategies around AI as the core component. It's like an engine. Think about it from that perspective. We're bringing in an engine and we're building the car around the engine.
And in the case of AI on the agent side, does not have to be native AI because they already using existing tools. Am I right?
Yeah, so actually, from an agent perspective, that's right. There's ways that agents can work off of, say, APIs and I don't want to get too technical here, but I think actually, to be honest with you, you really do want to be a native AI first company. If you really want to have a truly it's called agentic technology company. And the reason why is, and maybe we take a step back, the reason why is because at the core of that engine, we'll go back to the very beginning of it, relies on data. So the whole reason why we got here, how I've gotten here, is because of that data at the core. So AI relies very heavily on collecting, analyzing data, and taking that data to fuel their AI systems, right? So think about it from this perspective. You've got, say, HubSpot for your business. Maybe you use Salesforce. You use Outlook. You use Google Drive. You use all these different systems, right? All of this needs to be baked into your business from an AI perspective, hence the native AI. That's your engine. And then ultimately, the agent, just like how you do, will need to go into Outlook. It'll need to go into Salesforce. It'll need to go into HubSpot, right? So if that's not baked into your enterprise, then your agent would be very limited. So yes, it can be done, but I believe that native AI first companies will be a lot more successful with agents.
So your company, it's a company that it's based on helping companies to build an AI platform around their systems. And one of the things I was reading about is Alice, your Alice
Yes.
AI future that you have. Can you explain more about Alice and why is it different from other tools out there?
Yeah, great question, right? So Alice is our fine-tuned model. And the best way to think about it is the core of our business is that we believe AI, our thesis is that fundamentally businesses want to adopt AI, but they want to adopt it in a secure environment. And I'm sure we'll probably talk about that later because security is very important. But being able to do that, you really have to have a large language model. And there's so many of them out there. I think most companies are built off of the public models out there, GPT, Llama. I'm sure you've heard of these. Well, what we have is a fine-tuned version of that that's actually baked into our engine. And Alice is that. Alice is a specialized version of a pre-trained language model that we've optimized for the very specific tasks of what we're trying to accomplish. And she's built now for over 400 different types of specializations. And it's a horizontal AI, so she can handle anything from customer support, legal analysis to creative writing. This enables businesses like yourself to then hone in on those fine tuning aspects, if you will. And then we can actually customize it to adopt and adapt the model for whatever you need, whether that's out there collecting real estate homes off of the market on Zillow so that you can continuously monitor the pricing to taking phone calls and handling customer service inbound or outbound calls.
So, in your case, is there specific industries that you guys are right now working with?
Yeah, so the way that we've built it, it is it's called a horizontal AI infrastructure. We've actually our team is very amazing. So I'll take a step back. The guys that are actually part of our core leadership, one of the former executives from Llama was overseeing that for the last 4 years. We have some other guys from OpenAI that was one of the senior leaders. So we really specifically built the engine, if you will, to be vertical agnostic. But to your point, yes, we're seeing early traction in the automotive sector. Car dealers have a really great use case. They make a lot of outbound phone calls, a lot of inbound phone calls. So the agent can do that at scale. Doesn't take a day off, doesn't get sick, and so that's a great market that we're seeing a lot of traction, as well as in government. We have a lot of contact going with government right now, specifically in government. Those use cases, some of them are confidential, but things that are very monotonous, tedious works like unemployment. I'll give you an example. An unemployment group of the government might have an assessment that needs to be accomplished. And perhaps there's a way that we can actually adopt the AI to come in, handle the assessment, cross-reference that against the unemployment person, individual, and then be able to make those match points very quickly. We also have healthcare. Dental is something that we're seeing a lot of early traction on, being able to help patients and dentists being able to make prognosis based off of notes and insurance, being able to send in those codes to help make sure they don't leave money on the table. So I would say healthcare, dental, and automotive are the top three that we're seeing a lot of traction in.
Interesting. In this regard, you alluded already to security on data, and obviously it's a concern for not only for the industries in general, but also at a consumer level as well. Because I mean, I think one of your videos that you have, one of your interviews, you talk about, you know, everyone has a profile now on the internet, right? And all of these profiles are sometimes jeopardized, and people are, I mean, there's thousands of people worldwide trying to steal your profile, trying to steal your info. How exactly, and I don't know, I mean, when you talk about agents and AI agents, and one of the biggest concerns that consumers have is how protected are we with the existing environments from all of the different applications out there? When we build in all of these profiles of ourselves, how protected are we as a consumers, and what can we do best to avoid ourselves being scammed or someone basically stealing our identity in the future?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and it's a big issue. I think it's a bigger issue that most people even realize. And it's an interesting landscape, right? Because there's so much good that I actually believe will come from AI-driven systems with the proper guardrails, with the proper leadership, governance, legislation. But to your point, right? There's a lot of bad deepfakes. To your point, really impacting consumer privacy and personal data. I'll speak to consumers first, and then I'll kind of help you. We'll transition to businesses. But consumers are increasingly interacting with AI daily. We know this, right? I'm sure many people that are probably listening to this podcast have interacted with GPT, ChatGPT, or any of those other public models, and often without realizing it. Whether that's through a chatbot, whether that's through putting their social profiles on there, tied up into AI algorithms through recommendation engines, or even signing up for something like an AI powered financial tool, right? To help you, maybe manage your budget better. But without proper security, right? This is where it can become a liability rather than an asset. And so what I recommend for consumers is to really think about everything that you put into that box, even though it says it may not use it for training or it doesn't use it to train its models, it goes into a black box. There is a black box. And think about it from this perspective. You type in XYZ, hey, ChatGPT, my information is this, and can you tell me how to better get more information from this? That makes its way over to that. It is encrypted at that moment from when you type it to where it goes. But then once it's there, it has to be decrypted. And that if that security is not in place, that data can be stolen, it can be misused, and it can be exploited by bad actors. So a perfect example could be a poorly secured AI chatbot on a healthcare system could accidentally expose a patient's medical records. What you just said is very interesting as well. The way AI collects data, it's like a hungry machine, right? It needs to eat data and consume so much data. So it goes out there and it scrapes. It scrapes profiles, it scrapes user profiles. So anything you put out there can be fed into the machine and can be used to unfairly target you back, right? So you need to think about this. And I always recommend to folks, if you don't want it to be used against you or something you wouldn't put out there in a public sign out in the roadway, don't put it online because it will get used. I'm talking about financial information, health information, even if you're talking about the fact that maybe you have cancer or some sort of ailment, using that information can be used against you if it's out there in the public. We have to remember AI models learn from existing data. and it's going to take that data and it can be used. There's worlds, Miguel, this podcast, if it gets out there and it gets scraped, it's got my voice, it's got your voice. There could be a bad actor out there, could clone your voice for AI, and then email all of your producers saying, "Hey, this is Miguel. Guys, I need you to release $150,000 to XYZ company," and they'll think it's you, and they can even put it to an avatar of you. So you have to be diligent.
It actually happened already to me, something not,
No, what happened?
and not with the voice, but it has happened with kind of like a face recognition issue that I had, and that they copy a video and use that to be able to connect and ask for information in a by email. And to so I have one of my businesses. We wire money to Mexico, and these
Hmm.
people send basically an email, and with my video, which is uh, I don't know how they reproduce my video saying basically something else, and then on an email requesting to send money to wire money to Mexico. And it was pretty scary to see how well it was done. Thank God the bank obviously verified the information because I never send videos, I never send emails like that. But anyways, it happened, and that's why it gets very scary when
It
what
does. It does.
people can do with the information out there. Let's talk about one specific term that I. By the way, let's just finish with the industries now. And this in the company side, what would you suggest for? There's a lot of companies trying to use technology, AI, to be more efficient, but a lot of companies are just spending more money and not really seeing results, and that's what's happening right now. I mean, it's like always implementation is the it's is the bottom line, and most people are not implementing, and it's just costing a lot of money. What would you suggest to those people or those companies executives that are trying to implement an AI, and especially to implement the agent? That's one question. The second question is, when you have all of these agents, you have to have special people to use them and to feed them accordingly, I assume. No?
Yes, absolutely. That's right. Yeah, and what's interesting is that's the problem that we're trying to solve in the market, right? That is our thesis. You nailed it on the head, right? AI innovation is moving at breakneck speed. The pace of AI is innovating so fast that privacy, security, and the ability to actually use it in an application purpose isn't keeping up with how fast AI is moving in terms of businesses. And I think that, this is, again, this is our thesis. Our thesis is that the reason why there's not full massive market business enterprise adoption is because of all the things that are not in place yet from a security standpoint, and then also from a compliance standpoint, as well as the ability to actually utilize it in AI in a way that they can adopt it, one, responsibly, and two, actually be able to get the actual ROI that they need from it. And ultimately, we solve that, right? So if you, in one sentence, what does ID privacy do? We build custom models at scale for businesses using private data sources, their private data sources, in a complete secure environment that allows them to build agents and manage those agents, and also build custom models and completely secure environments. And it's done like that, right? It's like one click of a button. It's not like custom development. So when that becomes available to these businesses, they're going to be more likely to bring those into their enterprises, right? Because they need more control, they need more transparency, and they need to be able to ensure that whatever they push into that model, it's not going to get leaked outside, right? So they need a private AI infrastructure, number one, right? So whether that's a cloud-based uh, location ecosystem, that's fine. Whether that's bringing it on-prem, we've built both ways of bringing those AI engines in, right? So private cloud environment or on-premise to have complete data sovereignty. The second thing, right, is they need to make sure that architecture is completely secure. So they'll never have anything going outside of it, multi-layer authentication, encryption, etc. All the pipelines need to make sure that they're completely encrypted, right? So whether the data is in transit, at rest, AI cannot be exploited by external threats. And then last but not least, they need to be able to build those models simply, very, very easily. Because what we find, and I think you'll probably find this in your business as well, you're a specialist in what you do, right? You're a dentist, you're a lawyer, you're a healthcare provider, whatever the case is. You're likely not an AI expert team. You're not going to go out and bring in a huge AI team of developers and all of these folks. And so, and even if you did, the speed at which AI is moving, you won't be able to make the investment into your own infrastructure and your own IP in time to be able to solve all those problems and those challenges first, and then be able to keep up with the way the market's moving. So enter in companies like ID Privacy, where we plug and play, and we become that essentially that AI backbone for you, that continues to make sure that you stay up to speed. You can make sure that you're protecting privacy, and then you can build trust in AI solutions, and you can continue to scale with the industry responsibly. And for agents, your second question, as far as for agents, yeah, there absolutely has to be a multi-agent system that gives the agents the ability to access the data, secure connections with those data pipelines so that it can actually autonomously do what it needs to do to solve those use cases and those goals. And there has to be some sort of governance, right? There has to be a supervisor agent. There has to be all these different ways that the agents are held accountable. And there needs to be a platform in the world that manages those agents. Absolutely. Just like you manage employees today, you're going to have to manage the agents.
How knowledgeable have to be the people managing those agents? I mean, a company like yours will develop the agents, will set them up and everything else. If we talk about a medium-sized, small-sized company that want to have all of these agents in place, like a doctor's office or like a dental practice, do they have to have IT people in place? Do they have to have, or you train their staff, or how does it work for a medium-sized, small company?
Yeah, so we plan to be the vanguard for the medium size and all the way up to the full scale enterprise, because you're exactly right. You don't need that. We want to make it so that it's super simple. Like we can build models in minutes, not months. We can build agents in minutes, not months. Essentially, if you have a use case, and let's say your use case was hey Albert, I do these podcasts and I need to make sure that I can edit them, get them completely edited, get them done. But then we want to be able to use the agents to push them to whatever platforms, and we want to make sure that the agent is communicating with all of the LinkedIn posts and make sure they're responding for me, et cetera, et cetera. We'd set up the goal, whatever that goal is, and then build the guardrails for the agent. So the agent, and we would set you up from an onboarding standpoint to do this, and then basically set up the agents to do whatever it needs to do to accomplish those goals. And then we set up autonomously. And then, yeah, there's a platform where you can manage it and see how it performs, see the results, but you need zero experience to work with us. No tech team, no developers, no anything.
I like that. I like that. And I hope that people can understand that AI not necessarily is going to replace the jobs of a lot of people, but it's going to help people to be more efficient. And obviously, you might not need, I mean, as many people as before, but obviously, AI will be able to ramp up any type of position. And I'm just thinking about not only customer service, I would say, I mean, from sales, business development, you name it, right? I mean, there's any position basically out there can be helped with an agent.
Yeah, I have a saying that I like, so hopefully we can get this out there. I have two sayings I like to say. AI in for the assist, and then AI, the great augmenter, not just the automator. So I'll explain this. So AI and for the assist, it's not here to replace, right? And the AI is the great augmenter. It's going to augment your team, right? The conversation that AI is going to replace human jobs, automate repetitive tasks, and just take over everything, that's not true, right? That's only part of the picture. The true power of AI lies in its ability to actually augment us as humans, right? Not just automate us and replace us. As a great augmenter, I think about it from this perspective. It's going to enable businesses and individuals to work smarter, make better decisions, and it's going to unlock even higher levels of creativity, efficiency, and problem solving. So if you think about it, even the way like email today has allowed us to have more access to more information, be able to respond to people faster. It didn't necessarily replace mail. Mail still comes to us, but now we can have faster communication back and forth with individuals because we have email, right? Same thing is going to happen. It's going to be the exact type of evolution here. It's not going to replace business leaders. It's not going to replace marketers. It's going to enhance their ability to process more information. And then it's going to give them the ability to process bigger, massive data sets, provide better insights, and it's going to unlock more work. So I think, it's something as humans, absolutely 100% should be looking at it as a tool for human creativity and not a replacement.
When I talk to people like yourself, I feel so ignorant about the future and about technology.
No,
So I
no.
appreciate your insight. Last question, because we're running out of time.
Yes, sir.
We already passed the 45 minutes. Look, I mean, with the 30 years of experience that you have, let's go back 30 years from now, and you have a young Albert Thompson in front of you. What would you tell him to do different? What kind of advice would you give a young 20-year-old Albert Thompson with all the experience that you have right now?
It's a great question. Give me one second. I want to ponder on this because I think it warrants the time to give a proper response.
Yeah, take your time. We're gonna edit it.
No, it's great. No, I think this is great. And actually would love for you to keep this in because I want the audience to see the thought that I'm going to put behind this. I think as we, if I look 30 years from now and I look back from 30 years, right? We just need to tell the young Albert Thompson or the young future person, right, that it's okay to fail. Failure is okay. And as a matter of fact, at the times that when we fail, we have to understand that the failure is just one step forward, that there's a bigger plan, a bigger purpose. I believe in a higher power, so there's always a perfect plan. So embrace those failures, fail fast, fail forward, and go faster, right? And what I mean by that is I think I'm going fast now, but in hindsight, if I could have gone back to my 20-year-old self, I would have said, hey, go faster. You can go faster. And there's ways to do things quicker and faster, but methodically and with proper diligence. Sorry, give me one second. But I do believe that 100% embrace it, embrace the failures along with the victories, and go at the speed that you can possibly go, and just know that it's within your control to get there with the proper guidance.
I appreciate that answer. Albert, thank you so much. You've been, this has been an episode of a lot of education about AI. Maybe later on in a few months, we can have you again because there's going to
Yes,
be a lot of more news and more things to learn. But in the meantime, we do want to appreciate the time, the information,
thank
all of
you.
the valuable insight that you gave us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, thank you. Appreciate it. It was great being here, and I'm really looking forward to working with you guys in the future. Thank you.
And this was the People Matter Show. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.